When we think about TikTok and nursing, it can be a little controversial, right? I mean, remember all that talk about nurses making videos during the pandemic? It definitely raised some eyebrows. But what if that same app could actually be a key to training better nurses? It sounds kind of crazy, but let's dive into how a social media platform might just be shaking up medical education.
It's a totally fair question. I mean, can an app that's famous for dance challenges and viral videos really get someone ready for the intense, high-stakes world of patient care? On the surface, it seems like a big no way. But, well, the answer is pretty surprising.
Yeah, because this isn't about distraction or fooling around. It's about engagement. It's about using a tool that students are already on all the time and harnessing it to teach them in a way that actually sticks. It's pretty innovative stuff.
But before we get to the how, we really need to understand the why. To see why anyone would even consider using something like TikTok, you have to know about this big, long-standing challenge in nursing education. It's called the theory-practice gap. And what's wild is that it's a simple idea, but super hard to fix. Basically, it's the giant canyon between what you learn in a textbook and what a nurse actually has to do, think, and feel when they're standing at a patient's bedside.
Just think about it for a second. On one side, you've got the clean, predictable, structured world of the classroom. And on the other, you have the messy, chaotic, and deeply human reality of a hospital or clinic. Making that leap is one of the toughest parts of becoming a nurse.
And that brings us to this really fascinating experiment out of Spain. Researchers at the University of Cadiz saw this problem and decided to tackle it with a very modern solution. And get this, it was the first study of its kind in the entire country. Okay, so here's how they set it up. They took 74 nursing students in their third year. They gave them a couple of really crucial topics to learn: how to handle a patient's brand new diabetes diagnosis and how to navigate complicated vaccination schedules. But instead of just a lecture, their big assignment was to create short, role-playing videos for TikTok based on real-life case studies. The whole point was to see if this hands-on, creative approach could finally help bridge that gap. Using TikTok for a serious medical assignment? That's a bold move, you got to admit. So the big question is, did it actually work? Well, the results are seriously compelling. So before the project started, the students took a test on the material. Out of 12 possible points, their average score was 5.84. So basically, they were getting less than half the questions right. Definitely some room for improvement there. And then, after they went through the whole process, learning the cases, planning their roles, and making their videos, just look at this jump. The average score shot up to 9.93 out of 12. That's not just a small bump. That is a huge leap in understanding. And this wasn't just a fluke or a lucky day. For all the data folks watching, this improvement was what we call statistically significant. It means the numbers are solid and prove that this method of learning genuinely helped them understand and use complex medical info. Okay, so we know it worked, but did the students actually like doing it? I mean, was it a drag? The answer is a huge yes. An overwhelming 82.9% of them said they were very satisfied with the whole experience. They weren't just learning better, they were actually enjoying it. And this quote from the study pretty much says it all. When they asked the students directly, an incredible 97.1%, almost everybody, said that this new, innovative approach made it easier for them to understand the material and pick up the skills they needed. They saw the value themselves. So this is all really cool for the world of education, for sure. But why should the rest of us care about how nurses are being taught in a university in Spain? Well, because it turns out, this has a ripple effect that goes way beyond the classroom and actually impacts all of our lives. And this is where it all connects. Finding better ways to teach our nurses creates this amazing chain reaction. First, it helps close that critical gap between theory and practice. That leads directly to the second point. We get more confident, more competent nurses who are truly ready for the real world on day one. Third, and this is so huge in our world today, it trains them to communicate clearly, giving them the skills to fight the wave of health misinformation online. And what's the end result of all that? It leads to better, safer healthcare for you, for me, for everyone. This whole study shows us that sometimes the most powerful learning tools aren't in a textbook. They might be hiding in plain sight, right in the apps we use for fun every single day. And it leaves us with a really big question to think about. What other powerful, game-changing tools are we totally overlooking when it comes to the future of education?